The last few months have been getting to me. Every day now, floods of messages, Instagram posts, YouTube videos, Twitter threads, all telling me how to live my life. I need to get away and get out of all of this noise, to the middle of nowhere, and I mean nowhere. So, I booked a flight to Sweden. I don't know why, I just had to. I've always wanted to go and now felt like a chance to do it. I'm staying a 6-hour drive from any airport. I'm gonna have no social media, no emails, no friends, just me, some trees, and this barrel that I'm staying in. I'm gonna be spending 7 days here with nothing but my cameras, my phone that's been seriously dumbed down by deleting all social medias, and my clothes. Now, the aim of this video isn't to banish my phone completely, but to figure out what the ideal relationship is between phone and human. My relationship with my phone right now is, well, I say it quite well here. And I think to myself, why am I spending this much time on my phone? And then I don't do anything about it. And then I just continue rotting away and my brain just turns into mush. Doing this in Sweden, a country I've never been to, in the middle of absolutely nowhere, with no one around that I know, is gonna pose some challenges. And without my phone there to distract me, I'm gonna be forced to face some tough feelings. I'm gonna have to face being alone and being bored. And in many ways, I'm gonna have to face myself. Now, I know that sounds kind of cringy, but really, this challenge has changed my life retrospectively. So let's begin with day one.
Good morning, champions. First morning. I've woken up, I haven't gone on my phone. It is right here, and it is turned on.
Now, because this wasn't like the phoneless challenge where I got rid of the thing completely, I needed to rely on willpower to not excessively go on it. And coming from a lifestyle of using my phone from 4 to 5 hours a day, this was tough. So I went to go make myself a coffee in a small building called Granny's House, which is the shared building in which people who are staying on the site can make their own meals. This whole morning was me just getting used to my environment, and at first it was a little bit intimidating. I let myself just sit for a minute and feel nice and alone. Now, this is something that initially I was not used to. It's quite the adjustment going from 5 hours a day on the phone and being constantly connected to suddenly being completely isolated in the middle of nowhere. And without my phone there to distract me, I found some maps of the local area, which inspired me to think about planning a day trip in one of the upcoming days. After that, I explored the site I was staying on a little bit more and found this really beautiful lake view. After soaking this in for a couple of minutes, it was time that I went shopping. I'm staying in a self-catered place, which means that I'm gonna have to cook for myself. Ooh, I know, that's scary. But it is also quite a liberating feeling having to be completely responsible for yourself.
Infart.
Shopping was really easy and the Swedish people are incredibly friendly. Everyone there says, hey, hey, which means, hey. I also asked the guy behind the checkout how to say thank you in Swedish, and thank God I did, because I'd be using this throughout the whole trip. Shout out to Kenneth, he was so friendly, my new Swedish best friend.
Tack så mycket. Tack så mycket.
Back at camp, I unpacked all my shopping, and then I was off on a walk to explore the Swedish woodland. Now, walking is something that I do quite a lot back in England, but this was going to be the first time that I did it in Sweden. I find walking without a phone to be quite therapeutic, because instead of being distracted by music, you're just left with yourself, and you actually end up sifting through quite a few thoughts and feelings that maybe you wouldn't have done otherwise. So I'm on my way back to the barrel and it starts tipping it down. I get absolutely soaked, so I hang my clothes up in the barrel and I turn on the heater to get them dry. I also decided to get my sketch pad out and do a little drawing. Drawing is something that I took up back in the phoneless challenge. By no means do I think I'm good at drawing, but it's something that will keep my mind occupied until the next day.
Good morning, champions. It's a cloudy day here in the middle of nowhere. Last night I went into the Swedish sauna, which is about 5 steps that direction. I actually went out into the lake, which was freezing cold. Let's see what the day has to bring. I'm pretty excited. I think the first thing I need to do is go make a coffee and then have a think.
So you remember yesterday when I looked at the map of the local area? Well, today I'm going to that exact spot to see what's going on. So a 1-hour drive later and I'm there. Now, this place doesn't feel anything like where I've been before. So to get a proper taste of this place, I went around some shops, looked at some clothes, and asked where the nearest cafe was.
We have ICA down by the road.
Yeah.
On the big moose statue.
Tack så mycket.
And then go and get a coffee from there.
There it is.
Today's been a pretty cool day so far. It's about 2:30 right now, and I've got the rest of the day with absolutely no plans. This is something I find myself running into quite often these last 2 days, is that I'll do something and then I'll be thinking, oh, okay, now what? Because there is nothing to do here except be peaceful, read books, be peaceful, and go for a walk. I could go for a walk again. But yeah, I guess being in this kind of environment is really handy for when you need a break. It does bring a sense of purpose to it that you don't get when you're just at home.
So I spent the evening waiting for the rain to pass. I did some more drawing, went for a really wet walk, cooked some food, read my book, and went to bed. Day 3 arrives, and with it comes some dry weather. I've started getting myself into a routine now of what I do in the mornings. I get up, have some coffee and breakfast, and then plan the day. Now this would turn out to become instrumental in my time here, and is also something that I've taken away from this challenge. Having a healthy routine, more specifically a morning routine, really helps kickstart the day.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It really helps that it's sunny. I mean, weather makes such a massive difference to a trip like this where you're just outdoors all the time. Especially when the cabin that I'm staying in is literally a barrel. A tiny barrel. I've been using my phone around an hour a day at the moment. That's including things like CarPlay and just using it as a sat nav. So I'm really happy with that. I think that's really good. I mean, that's a massive improvement on my typical 4-5 hour day on my phone. Which, when I think about it now, is ridiculous.
On the maps yesterday, I saw that there was a moose farm on which you could go and hug moose. Now, Sweden is known for having a lot of cool wildlife, but I haven't really seen any since being here. The closest I've come is seeing a dead moose on the side of the road as I was arriving. There was a lot riding on this. I've been traveling all day to get here, and I was just really excited. I mean, look how happy these people look on the advertisement for this place. But of course, it's closed. This was one of the most prevalent problems with not having a phone to constantly distract you. I found myself hyperfixating from one task to the other, and then, if it didn't work out, well, it kinda sucked. It's in times like these that I just wanted to go home, curl up on my sofa and binge 5 episodes of Lost, rather than try and find something else to do. And this is the beauty of the challenge. I've got to face this now and figure out a healthy way to distract myself. This is when I remembered that there's been a kayak behind my little barrel since I got here. A kayak that I haven't touched. Until now. This was a pretty cool way to wrap up the day. It was initially intimidating being out in the middle of a big, dark lake. But then I got used to it. And by the time I was done, I'd forgotten about the moose garden. And I was on to bigger, warmer things and reflecting on my time so far.
I was actually quite scared about coming. I had a lot of people tell me not to do it. Even only for a week, it felt like a huge thing. Because there's just so much unknown in being alone and being isolated these days. There really is. There's just so much fear around it. And I think that social media and people today all feed into this whole idea that being alone is this terrifying thing. But it's not. And I've really enjoyed it.
That was fun while it lasted.
Day 4 was all about immersing myself. I started the day with a paddle out on the lake, where I crossed to the other side and found an abandoned hut. Something about doing this brought out the adventurous part of myself that had been hiding in the shadows of my adulthood. Then I took my nice camera out on a big hike and tried to capture what I had started to seriously fall in love with here. The undisturbed, raw, green nature. I've never seen something like this before. The sea of moss covering every single inch of ground. The colossal and wise boulders sitting amongst the trees. The forest of mushrooms littered below, like a seasoning on the moss, some of which did not smell so good. And the ground so laden with layers upon layers of green that you feel like you're walking on one giant nature pillow.
Isn't that the way they say it goes? Well, let's forget all that and give me the number if you can find it, so I can call just to tell them I'm fine and to show I've overcome the blow. I've learned to take it well. I only wish my words could just convince myself that it just wasn't real, but the way it feels.
By day 5, I had fully embraced it. I was in adventure mode and I was fully present, which hardly ever happens for me anymore. My phone at this point had almost completely vanished out of my day-to-day activities, and I was feeling strong, stronger than I have in a long time. The thought of feeling lonely out here was something that genuinely scared me before I made the trip, but the feeling never came. I'm sure it's down to many things, like the trip only being a week long. The main one, however, was being able to stay in touch with my loved ones throughout if I needed to. I would call my parents on CarPlay or message my brother at the end of the day, but that was all I really needed. The obvious comparison to make is with the phoneless video.
Can you call my mum really quick?
Yeah.
Just give her a ring. It feels like I was in a very privileged position to do that challenge. You know, I was with my best friend. We were getting drinks every night.
Oh, a quick stop for a pint of Guinness.
The boredom side of things just wasn't there. Like I hardly really got that bored. Whereas here I've had so much space to be bored, like right now. Minus talking to the camera, I've just been sat here doing nothing. I've got nothing to do. I've got like a can of baked beans that I want to eat before I go. But that's it. I'm gonna pack my stuff today so that I can make some more space in there, and I'm gonna just leave the cameras out, and that's about it. Then I think I'll have a fire again later, and I'm just gonna stargaze. Smash cut to the stars.
This kind of touches on what I wanted this video to achieve. Building a relationship with my phone that feels like it's adding to my life rather than taking away. Social media is almost irrelevant at this point, because the truth is, having this new experience and committing to being here for the week and diving in head first made me forget they even existed. There are countless people online who will tell you how bad Instagram and X is, and I think we all already know this deep down. So it's not so much a question of shoving that message down your throat any more than it already is, but more so inspiring you to pull the lever, to make the dive, and to press delete. To be brave in a world where isolation and loneliness are the biggest fears we have, and where society promotes a life of having no free time and constantly being busy, a consequence of which is that you never have to face yourself. I've created a relationship with my phone in this past week that I actually think is healthy. A relationship that's allowed me to breathe, find some self-respect, and live in a way that's present and connected to the things that really matter to me. Being able to be here, in nature, reconnecting and grounding myself, all whilst having those who I care about most in my life right there, just one button away. And I think that's the way it should be. It's not my phone that's making me unhappy. It's me. And I'm here to take responsibility for that.